So welcome back to our Sravan Utsav. As Bharadwaji Prabhuji reminded, this is day 25 or day 26, Prabhuji?
25, Prabhuji.
25, day 25 of our Sravan Utsav. And we have our special guest, Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji here. We all know him. He has also already spoken in Sravan Utsav, but he has come here a few times in Wellington, and we are looking forward to hear from him personally as soon as it is possible. So, as Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji has spoken here in Sravan Utsav earlier, so we'll directly go towards the lecture part so that we can hear from him for longer. Thank you, Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, for joining and for showing a special appreciation for Prabhuji's time. Let's chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to welcome him. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, Prabhuji. Over to you.
Thank you. Om Jnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I'm grateful to be with all of you today, and this is one of the most beautiful chapters from the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I will be sharing a PowerPoint. Basically, the way I'm going to do this class is I'm taking 3 verses which are representatives of this particular chapter. So I'll take one by one each verse and we'll discuss based on that. So this theme, so for each of the verses I have taken a theme and I'll explain the theme, and as I said, the PowerPoint I may also use as a whiteboard to add certain things. The flute, so 10:21:06, this actually begins the pastime. The flute as the Uttam Uddipan. Uddipan is a spiritual stimulus and Uttam is a super excellent spiritual stimulus. So let's look at the verse. Iti Venuravam Rajan Sarvabhuta Manoharam Shutva Vrajastriya Sarva Varnayanto Bhire Bhire. So Iti Venuravam. So Krishna is playing the flute and Rajan, this is Shukadeva Goswami being addressing Parishit Maharaj. And the Venuravam, the sound of the Gopis, it is, sound of the flute is Sarvabhuta Manoharam. It attracts everyone, all living beings, in fact, Sarvabhuta. Krishna uses the word Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, Adveshta Sarvabhutanam. He talks about his devotees. So Sarvabhuta means all living beings. So Shrutva, so Sarvabhuta Manoharam, it attracts everyone, but it has a special effect on the Gopis. Shrutva, they hear it. Vrajastriya Sarva, when they hear it, Varnayanto Abhire Bhire. So Varnayanto, they start speaking about Krishna. The sound of Krishna's flute captures their hearts, and then they start Varnayanto. So they start speaking, and Abhire Bhire. Now Abhire Bhire means embrace. So there are 2 explanations possibly of this. One is that the Gopis embrace each other. They don't have Krishna nearby, so they just embrace each other to feel, oh, this is a person Krishna loves. Or it's described that they mentally embrace Krishna. they verbally speak about him, and mentally they embrace him in their minds. So the context here is that the gopis are in the Vraja village, and they are going about our daily activities, and Krishna is also going about his daily activities. Krishna's daily activities are herding the cows. So he's gone to the Vraja forest and he's played his flute, which captivated the gopis' hearts. So now this verse we can analyze in terms of the Rasa theory. Now Rasa is, we often talk about Bhakti Ras, but Rasa also has a theory, elaborate theory, which is described in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Ujjwal Nilamani. So how that experience of taste, that how that Rasa awakens in the heart. So let's look at it, what is happening over here. So what is the stimulus over here? The stimulus is Krishna's flute song. And what is the Venu Ravam? Sarva Bhuta Manoraham. So this is actually, so this is Venu Ravam, Krishna's flute song is the stimulus, and Sarva Bhuta Manoraham, that it's characteristic. So there is a Uddipan. What is special about Uddipan? That it has the capacity to captivate everyone. And then, but we are not talking about everyone over here. So whom are we talking about? The particular character we are talking about, the cowherd maidens, the Vrajastriyaha. So the Vrajastriya, so the Rasa has come. So sorry, the Uddipan has come. So Uddipan is coming. It has a special characteristic. It comes upon a particular character, and there's a response in that character. So what is the response? They embraced Krishna mentally, and then they described his beauty verbally. So Abhire is that they embrace Krishna mentally, and Varanayanto, they describe his glories. So now from the next verse onwards, how they're describing the glories is what is narrated. So here, Vrajastriyaha. So what we will do now, we'll take, in terms of Rasa theory, the remaining talk on this particular verse will be an analysis of this, how the Rasa is being generated. So Vrajastriyaha. Now in the 10th canto, this is the first explicit reference to the Madhurya Bhav among the gopis. Now the Madhurya Bhav will be fully manifested in the Ras Panchadhyaya, which is from chapters 29 to 33. And in this chapter, as well as the next chapter, the gopis Madhurya Bhav will be manifested. In the next chapter is the stealing the garments of the gopis. But this is the first time it is being mentioned. Now, of course, it has been mentioned earlier in the Bhagavatam by other characters and other cantos. Right, in the first canto, Bhishma Pitama on his deathbed remembers how the gopis are maddened by attraction for Krishna. So that is there. But here, it is the first time in the Bhagavatam it is mentioned. And here specifically, it's not just mentioned, it is actually Purva Rag that is mentioned. Now, Gopal and Anandandavan Champu, this is described elaborately, that Purva Rag means that it is the attraction before the meeting. So the gopis and Krishna have not yet met each other in the Madhurya Bhav relationship. And the Purva Rag is awakening. The Purva Rag is there. You say Raga means attraction, Purva means before. So the attraction before the meeting. So now, at one level, everything in the spiritual world is eternal. But another level, eternal doesn't mean static. There is dynamism. There is change, but that change doesn't lead to deterioration or degradation. So what is happening is, as Krishna Lila is going forward, we know Krishna appeared in chapter 2 and 3, and that he's a newborn baby, and he's growing. And as he's growing, his associates are also growing. So here, the gopis and Krishna have attained what in mundane terms we might call puberty. Now, that is a biological change. But the principle is, rather than thinking that, oh, how can there be something like that for Krishna with his transcendental body? Rather, we understand what is above that is manifested below. So Krishna in his Leela has various things happening. And those things are manifested sometimes in distorted way in this world. So the spiritual world is the original. So we don't want to do a abhas, like imposing our ideas on the spiritual world. Rather, we understand that what is present in the material world is present in its pure and original form in the spiritual world. And we know the Bhagavad Gita talks about urdhva mula madha shakam, that the world is like an upside down tree. Or what does it mean? That essentially means that there is the original tree and then we are seeing the upside down tree. So the male female attraction awakens at puberty, and that's what is happening. So the gopis are attracted toward Krishna and they are expressing their attraction, and so chronologically this attraction will grow, and then we will see in the next chapter onward the gopis are actually seeking how can we have Krishna as our lord, as our husband, and they start performing austerities for Katyayani to please her and get him as their husband. So now this is the Vrajastriya, the gopis, and then Manohara. Sarvabhuta Manohara means this is Krishna who is all attractive. But here they specifically describe the Venu Ravam. The Venu Rava is all attractive. So generally, music itself is attractive. But there are very few people who will say that I hate music. Some people will say I'm not good at music, but hardly anyone will say I hate music. Music is attractive in general. But among all forms of music, Krishna is the best in everything. So Krishna's flute song is music par excellence. But it is not just music par excellence. For Krishna, it is the love of his heart that is coming out through the song of his flute. So it is the supreme love call manifesting through music. And in that sense, it is not just musical attraction, it is spiritual, devotional, transcendental attraction. And that way it is attracting everyone. So this is Krishna's flute song being played. Now when it is being played, so the gopis are captivated by this. And for all of us also, we need to find out what is our uddipan. What is it that attracts us toward Krishna? So broadly, we can say, what is the uddipan? Things that we like to do, that is one circle. Things that are good for us, that is another circle. And the intersection of the two is our uddipan. So the principle is, just as the gopis became completely captivated, we also want to become captivated by Krishna. And for us, there may be certain things in bhakti, there may be kirtan, there may be katha, there may be some deity worship, there may be particular, even prachar, seva, whatever attracts us toward Krishna, we take that, we relish that. So this verse in one sense is, or this section is demonstrating the power of uddipan, that just the sound of Krishna's flute is sending the gopis into spontaneous expressions of ecstasy, emotions of ecstasy internally and expressions of ecstasy externally. So for all of us also, we want to get to that level one day, but at our level, we can find what our uddipan is. And in one sense, we can say that this is our spiritual responsibility. And for each one of us, we have to find out our uddipan. And the more we relish and cherish it, relish means, okay, this really gives me so much strength. I feel so strong. So we relish it, but then cherish it. Sometimes there are things which we find wonderful in bhakti, but then afterwards we forget them or neglect them and we just go on with our normal life. No, relish it and cherish it. Try to have it again and again. It's like if we in our worldly life, say if we went to some picnic, we went to some place, people preserve those memories. And then when maybe they're feeling down, they look at those memories again. So if somebody has a child and the child is growing up, you get the photo of the child at the growing moments of the child, and then make a whole album out of it or make a collage out of it. So just as we relish and cherish our memories, our fond memories in our worldly life, similarly, we can cherish the devotional stimuli that especially inspire us, and then we keep them accessible for ourselves. That's how our devotion will flourish. So this is the first verse which is describing how the stimulus is captivating the gopis. And then they start speaking from the next verse. So any quick reflections or questions on this? Let's try to, I don't know how much we can recite verses on Zoom. Sometimes the echo will be a little problem, but we can meditate on this verse. Iti venuravam rajan, iti venuravam rajan, sarva bhuta manoharam, sarva bhuta manoharam, shrutva vrajastriya sarva, shrutva vrajastriya sarva, varnayanto bhire bhire. So hearing the sound of the flute, which captivates all living beings, the gopis became so ecstatic that they hugged Krishna mentally and started glorifying him verbally. So any reflections or questions at this point? Okay. Sudharma Prabhu?
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, my question is, like you say, we have to find the stimuli and we have to do what is the uddipan for us and try to do that to connect. But what we understand is, it's not what we like to do, we should be clinging on to, right? If I want to do only a particular type of service, then it's not right to do just that one. One should be...
Yeah, of course. We all have certain things, even in spiritual life, which are like our duties. And we absolutely need to know do those duties. There's no doubt about that. But what I'm talking about here is that it's not that those are the things only that we have to do all the time. We all have some time where we can choose. We look forward to doing various things in our devotional life. And so it's not that we don't want to, in one sense, dodge our duties either in material life or in spiritual life. But at the same time, if we want to ultimately come to the level of constantly remembering Krishna, that is not going to happen unless we have developed some innate attraction for Krishna. And wherever that attraction is manifesting, there are two ways of looking at it. One, you can say, I am doing this for my enjoyment. But another way of looking at it is that actually it is Krishna who is very kindly giving me attraction in this particular domain, in this particular service. So if it is Krishna or this particular activity, it is Krishna who is manifesting his beauty to me. So if Krishna is doing that, who are we to reject Krishna? We accept that gratefully and we move forward in our life. So it's not so much dodging responsibility, but it's more of recognizing that if Krishna has given me a blessing, a way to absorb myself in him, then why should I not take it? Does that answer the question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So I write on the Gita every day. So one article I wrote is that there's a difference between doing what we like and doing whatever we like. Doing whatever we like means we become fickle. Today I like this and tomorrow I like that and day after tomorrow I like that and next day I don't like any of the things in bhakti and I give this up. So doing whatever we like as per the fickle moods of our mind, that is unhealthy. That will make, what to speak of spiritual life, even material life and material responsibilities will be unsustainable for us. But on the other hand, doing what we like means we all have a swabhava. We all have an innate nature. So some of us will naturally like to study scripture more. Some of us will naturally like music more. So some of us may naturally like to interact with people more, and maybe in that social setting, our bhakti gets nourished. So we basically using whatever materially Krishna has given us, material interest, and whatever way Krishna is manifesting attractiveness, we are reciprocating with that. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Nitya Gopal Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So my question is, can the Uddipana change as we progress in Krishna consciousness, or is it that it's the original constitutional position that we're referring to here?
Is your question, can you repeat please? I didn't get it.
So my question is, can the Uddipana change as we progress in Krishna consciousness? That things
Oh,
we
yes,
like
yes.
to do, can it change
yes.
as we
Yes,
progress
yes,
in
yes.
Krishna consciousness, or are we referring to our original constitutional position?
No, no, no,
When
no,
we're
no,
talking
not,
about
not at this
Uddipana?
stage. Not at this stage. It's yena kena prakarena. Whatever attracts us toward Krishna, we use that in our bhakti. So Uddipans can change, because in our spiritual life also, at different phases, we may feel the need for different things.
Right.
Sometimes we may ourselves feel that, okay, I want to do my sadhana more, I want to chant more, better quality. Sometimes, other times, we not only feel I want to do it, but also we feel connected, we feel strengthened by that. Other times we may feel I want to study more. So other times, I have not been doing enough deity worship. So we have to see that bhakti is not mechanical, it is personal. It's not a formula. Okay, this is the formula and this is the formula I have to use throughout my life. Yes, there are certain standard practices, but even those practices, like our sadhana and everything, they are meant to be expressions of our heart's devotion to Krishna. So it's a relationship. So Krishna himself may manifest his attractiveness to us in different ways at different times. And depending on how he manifests it, we see it as a reciprocation with Krishna. Okay.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's move on to the next verse now. So this is 10:21:12. Krishna's beauty inverts and transcends the cosmic hierarchy. That's the theme over here. So what is happening here? Krishnam niriksha vanitotsav rupa sheelam shutva cha tatquanita venu vivikta geetam devyo viman gataya smaranunna sara prashyat prasun kabara mumuhur vinivya. So Krishnam niriksha. So here now the gopis are in their homes, Krishna is in the forest, and the gopis are describing Krishna's glories, but it's not just abstract description of Krishna's glories. They're describing how Krishna is in the forest and he is interacting with various living beings. Vanita Utsava. Now Vanita Utsav, Vanita actually means, Vanita means women. So Vanita Utsava means for them, it's a festival. So what is a festival? That Rupa Sheelam. So Rupa, they are seeing the beautiful form of Krishna, and Sheelam. They know about the character of Krishna. They also heard about Krishna and his glories. So he's a cultured person. And so they are beholding Krishna, and then at that time, Shrutva, they're hearing. Tvatquanita Venu Vivikta Geetam. That song of the flute that he's playing. Tatquanita Vivikta Geetam. Very attractive, captivating song he's playing. And then Devyo Vimanagataya, as they are in the celestial airplanes, Smaranunasara, they are getting overwhelmed by it, they are getting so waited for it, that Brashyat, they are getting bewildered. Prasunna Kabara Mumuhur Vinivya. So their hair gets loosened out of excitement. Their bells become loosened out of excitement. Mumuhur Vinivya. In this way, they become overwhelmed by the ecstasy of hearing Krishna's flute song. So here, that's the context as I explained. The gopis visualize. So they are describing how Krishna's beauty is captivating even the women in heaven. So now here there are three things. Krishna's all attractiveness, three things I talked about. Vivikta, Venu Vivikta. That is his describing his beautiful flute song. But along with that, Rupa, his captivating form is there. And then his character is also very endearing. It's a very charming character. So sometimes somebody who's very good at music, they can easily become celebrities in today's world. But what happens is, sometimes some people, they have an image. These musical popular stars who can do great music, they have a very big image. But I've met several devotees, both in India and the West, who were big fans of music before, and then they met their stars. They went to some program and said they tried to get autograph or something. It was a big disappointment, they said. So they may have great talent, some of them may not look so good. Even if they look good, they may not have a great character. Some of these people are quite entitled. They think, I deserve all these fans. So they take everything for granted. Sometimes they're abusive. They yell and shout at others. Sometimes they exploitative. No, not everyone, but the point is that this combination of Rupa, Sheela, and as Krishna says, Vikta Geetam, that all these three combination is not so easy. In popular culture, there is saying is, don't meet your stars. Stars here refer to whoever are your idols, because if you meet them, you will be disappointed. So you'll find the stars that don't really exist in the sky, they will fall to the ground. And because you were thinking of going toward the stars, so you will also fall to the ground. So it's often an anticlimax in the material world when we meet people who we look up to. Now again, this is not always, but this happens at times. Now here they are the Rajastri, the Devya, the celestial ladies are being attracted to Krishna. Now here a question may come up that the way it is described, is this mundane attraction? Because after all, they are described specifically a festival for women. It is not described for everyone. It is not that the Devatas are being attracted, only the Devis are being attracted. So is it that they are getting attracted just as they might get attracted to any other male, because the male is very attractive? So when the Gopis are describing this, one thing is the Gopis are seeing Krishna from their perspective. So usually from that perspective, they are attracted toward Krishna, and they are visualizing that even the celestial ladies are being attracted to Krishna. So at one level, we understand that any way attraction to Krishna is there, that is wonderful. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayet. Yena kena prakarena. Krishna is all auspicious. And in the Bhagavatam, it is said that Gopya kamad bhayad kamso dveshat chaidyadayandrapa. So it is described that various ways Kamsa was absorbed in Krishna out of fear. Shishupal was absorbed in Krishna because of envy. And there when they say Gopya Kama, the Gopis were absorbed in Krishna because of lust. So there it is describing not the intimate associates of Krishna, but there were some Gopis who were Deva Kanyas. They were celestial damsels who had by good fortune come in, who had been born in Vrindavan. So they are attracted toward Krishna. So it's described that just by being absorbed in Krishna, all of them, Gopya Kamad, this is, as I said, a special category of Gopis, not all Gopis, Bhayat Kamso. So out of fear, Kamsa became attracted. And Dvesha Chaidyadayan Rupaha. Out of Dvesh, out of envy, it was Kamsa, Shishupal who got attracted. He was the king of Chaitya. Chaidyadayan Rupaha. So all of them, they all became elevated and liberated. So the point is, anyway one is attracted, that is good. But at the same time, what happens is that when there is proper understanding of what is to be done in bhakti, then it is much better. So what happens is that if we consider, there are two elements in bhakti. There is right conception and there is right motivation or emotion. So right conception is related more with the head, and right emotion or motivation, they are related more with the heart. So it's best if we have both the right conception and the right motivation. So if we just have the right conception, just Krishna is God and I want to become attracted to him, that is good. But that might, if there's only the right conception without the right bhav, then it may be more intellectual and it may go even towards impersonal. Why impersonal? Because one is serving Krishna, but one is serving Krishna so that one can get liberated. It's not so much to develop a personal relationship with him, but rather it's definitely better than, say, somebody seeking going to Krishna for seeking worldly pleasures. But they are going for liberation. So just the right conception alone is not enough. On the other hand, there's a right emotion. That means they're attracted toward Krishna. There is attraction, which is a good emotion, but without the proper conception. So attraction toward Krishna, absorption in Krishna is good. But if there is only that, without the proper understanding, then what will happen is the devotion may be nascent. It may be shaky. Because what may happen is that, over a period of time, a person may find that, okay, this thing, sometimes Krishna fulfills my desires, sometimes Krishna doesn't fulfill my desires. Oh, I pray to Krishna and my problem gets solved. Krishna is so wonderful. And when I pray to Krishna, but my problems are not solved, then I start thinking, does Krishna even exist? So it may be very superficial and short-lived. So best is if we have right conception and right emotion, then the devotion is steady and it is deep. That's why it is said, Tattvataha, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, Evam Yovetti Tattvataha. And then when the Tattvataha, that understanding is there, then Puta Mad Bhavamagataha. In 4:10, Krishna says, they'll attain pure emotion for me, transcendental emotion for me, and they will attain my abode. So here, there is, now with respect to the with the Devyas, with the Devis, what is happening over here? They are attracted toward Krishna, and that is fortunate. Now, are all of them pure-hearted? Maybe, maybe not. So, but by being attracted to Krishna, they'll become purified. One thing we know, that anybody who's in the celestial planets, they may not be pure devotees, but they are dharmic. It's only because they were virtuously living in this world, that's why they have ascended to heavens in the next world, in the next life. So they are virtuous and their attraction to Krishna is auspicious. So here, the key point is, what is being described, the point of the point. Point of the point means what? A point is being made, but why is that point being made? So sometimes we understand the point, but okay, how is it connected with this? What are you trying to say by this? So here, the point is to highlight Krishna's extraordinary attractiveness. That in general, the earthly residents, they are captivated by heavenly beauties. Now, in today's world, not many people believe even in heavens. But in the past, one of the fruits that people wanted, that, okay, I'll live a very pious life, and then I'll go to the heavens, and then in the heavens, I can, in the Nandanandan gardens, people thought they wanted to enjoy with the Apsaras. So earthly residents are normally attracted to the Apsaras, to the celestial beauties. But here, what is happening is, the celestial beauties are attracted to Krishna. So Krishna is so attractive that he inverts the cosmic hierarchy. That instead of the earthly residents being attracted toward Krishna, it is earthly residents being attracted towards heavenly ones. The heavenly residents are being attracted to somebody who's on the earth. Now, of course, Krishna is not an earthly resident. Krishna is eternally, is transcendental. But the fact is, Krishna is playing a Nar Leela over here. He's as an avatar, he's descending to the world. And when he descends to the world, what is he doing? He's performing his Nar Leela. So, when Krishna's Nar Leela is there, Nar Leela Kaivalyam, as described in the Vedantic literature. So what happens is, we know he demonstrates how his strength, wisdom, and beauty is greater than that of higher beings, of beings from higher planets. So now, if you consider this one by one, can you tell some pastime where Krishna's strength is greater than that of the higher planets, of the beings from the higher planets? There is the, yes, Govardhan Leela, exactly. Ekadina mana Indra Kumaro, naka upara Govardhan dharo. So, Nama Paro Giridhari. So Indra used all his strength to get the Samvarta crowds to shower down. And then what happens is, Krishna, he just used the pinky of his little finger, pinky of his left hand. Like two people are fighting and the other person doesn't even use both hands, just catches him by the left hand and knocks him down. So it's not even the left hand, it is the little finger of the left hand. And according to Bhakti literature, actually not even the little finger of the left hand. It is the nail of the little finger of the left hand. So Krishna lifts Govardhan on the nail. So he shows how his strength is far greater than that of Indra. So then, if one is Krishna's wisdom, Krishna's knowledge, which is the Leela?
Bhagavad Gita?
Yes, of course, Bhagavad Gita is there, but specifically if you want to compare earthly residents with heavenly residents, there's the Brahma Vimohan Leela. Now, Brahma tries to outwit Krishna by playing a trick with him. But what happens? Krishna outwits him. Krishna completely outsmarts him, and what is happening? And the beauty, how the beauty of Krishna supersedes the beauty of even the celestials. That is described here in the Venu Leela. This particular pastime. So in this way, what is happening is the inversion of the cosmic hierarchy is being described. That Krishna is all attractive, and he's so attractive that even the celestials are attracted towards him. And by that attraction, gradually they will become purified. Gradually they will become elevated. They will also become liberated. But the point is, the gopis are saying, oh, how attractive Krishna is, that everyone is attracted towards him. Even the celestial beauties are attracted towards him. This is the second verse that we discussed. So, Krishnam Niriksha Vanitotsava Rupa Sheelam. When they beheld Krishna, for the celestial ladies, it was like a festival, because they were captivated by his form, by his cultured behavior, by his character, and by his beautiful flute song. And thus they became overwhelmed in ecstasy. They became transcendently deluded. Krishnam Niriksha Vanitotsava Rupa Sheelam. Krishnam Niriksha Vanitotsava Rupa Sheelam. Shrutva cha tatkvanita venu vivikta geetam. Shrutva cha tatkvanita venu vivikta geetam. Devyo vimanagataya smaranunasara. Devyo vimanagataya smaranunasara. Brashyat prasun kabara mumuhur vinivya. Brashyat prasun kabara mumuhur vinivya. So this is the second meditation. Any reflections or questions about this?
Yeah, go ahead, Prabhuji. Bharadwaji Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Dandavat.
Prabhuji, one quick question. See, music is music irrespective of the gender. So when Krishna plays flute, why only gopis are getting attracted? Like, is it not affecting? I mean, in some places we had even the cows and other animals also get attracted. But why not men? Why not gopas?
Oh, it's described. Everybody is attracted here. Krishna has, in this particular vision, it's the gopis describing their vision. But they're also describing how the cows are getting attracted, the river is getting attracted, and how everybody is getting attracted. So it's not that only one person is getting attracted, everyone is getting attracted actually.
Oh,
so, but in this particular vision, it's the gopis describing their vision. So from that perspective, they're describing how the character whom the gopis are describing from their perspective who all is getting attracted. So in fact, I think our Acharya has described that Krishna has different flutes specifically for different characters. So he has a flute specifically for the gopas. He has a flute specifically for the cows, and he has a flute specifically also for the gopis. So here he's in the forest, but he's specifically playing the flute by which he attracts the gopis.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So, any other questions?
Yeah, Pundarikaksha Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Prabhuji. Thank you for the very nice lecture, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I'm wondering, say if I request you, can you please define what is the right conception and right emotion? Because say if we don't have right emotion, as you said, we might become impersonal, and if we have too much of emotions, then we might become sahajiyas. So how to balance that, Prabhuji? Can you please guide us?
Okay, my understanding with the balance would be service attitude. If we always remember that our defining relationship is our service to Krishna, that we are servants of Krishna. So if there is too much emotion, there is a description in the Bhakti Sam Sindhu how Chitrak and Patrak, when they are fanning Krishna, they are Krishna's servants, but while beholding Krishna's form, they feel so ecstatic that they start getting tears in their eyes, and they actually curse the tears. Get out of, you are coming in the way of my service to Krishna, because I want to see where Krishna is sweating so I can fan him that direction. But if my tears are in my eyes, I can't fan him. So if the emotion is coming in the way of our service, either it can be because of too much emotion, whatever, or inappropriate emotion, then we try to use our intelligence to discipline and restrain the emotion. And we all want to use our intelligence in Krishna's service, and we want the right conception. But what if we are just focusing too much on the conception and we are not actually rendering any service? So we can get too caught in the head. So we may understand everything properly in terms of philosophy, in terms of concepts, but if that is not transforming into the desire to serve Krishna, then that is also undesirable. We have to get out of our head also. So I would say that combination of conception and emotion are the optimal, which maximize our energy and our desire for serving Krishna. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the last verse now. This is probably the most ecstatic verse. This is my favorite verse from this section also. So here what happens is Krishna's beauty induces a transcendental competition among the sun and the clouds. So the gopis are envisioning how when Krishna is playing his flute, at that time, it's affecting everyone. So it's affecting them, it's affecting the celestial beings, it is also affecting the natural elements. So let's see how it affects the natural elements. So drishtva tape vrajapashun saha rama gopai sancharayantam anuvenu mudirayantam prema pravruddha uditaha kusumavalibi sakyurvyadat swavapushambudha atapatram. So drishtva. So here there's, who is seeing this? The previous was also niriksham. I think everybody can mute themselves if possible. So drishtva tape. So the previous was also niriksham. There it is describing how the celestial beings were seeing. Now here it is describing that the drishtva, it is the clouds are seeing. That word comes ambuddha. That comes in the last verse. So the ambuddha, the cloud, what does the cloud see? Cloud sees that Drishtva that it has become very hot. It has become very hot for whom? For Krishna. So Vrajapashun Saha Rama Gopai. So Krishna is going in the forest of Vrindavan. He is going with the Vrajapashun. The cows are there, and along with him Saha Rama Gopai. Ram is there, and the other Gopai is, it's not Gopi, it's Gopai. Gopai refers to the Gopas. His cowherd friends are there. Along with them, they are all going out. Sancharayantam Anuvenu Udirayantam. So he's playing his flute and he is walking through the forest of Vrindavan. But he says, oh, it's becoming so hot for Krishna. The sun is too hot. So prema pravruddha. So what does he do? Swavapusha. So he thinks that Sakyur Vyadat. Oh, this Krishna is my friend. So the Gopas are the friends of Krishna. Krishna is also my friend and I want to do something for Krishna. So Swavapusha Ambuddha Atapatram. So the cloud transforms itself into an umbrella for Krishna. Atapatram. So Ambuddha becomes, Atapatra is umbrella. Swavapusha is one's own body. So the cloud is, so Krishna is walking along over here and the sun is over here and the cloud is over here. The cloud, so Krishna is feeling hot. So the cloud comes right above Krishna. And as Krishna is walking, the cloud is also moving. So what is happening is, wherever Krishna is going, it's like a mobile umbrella overhead, which is sheltering Krishna. But it is not just Sakyur Vyadat. It is, oh, this is my friend, I want to shelter Krishna. But what he sees is, oh, actually, it's hot. Krishna is feeling a discomfort of heat. So what the cloud also starts showering a light drizzle. The heavy rains are unpleasant, but a light drizzle, it's almost like a few drops of water falling. It's comforting. So like that, the cloud showers down light rains. And when the rains are being showered, the Gopis are saying that these raindrops are actually like flowers being showered. So prem pravruddha udita kusumavali bhi. Out of love, in the clouds are filled with love for Krishna, and because of that love for Krishna, they are just like when in Krishna Lila, when Krishna kills some demons, the celestials, they shower flowers. So like this, the clouds are showering flowers. But what are the flowers of the clouds? The flowers of the clouds are their water droplets. So those water droplets are giving a comforting coolness to Krishna. So this is the beautiful vision of the Gopis. So a devotee's desire is always that let Krishna have all comforts, let Krishna have all pleasures, let Krishna feel no inconveniences. And even if I can't do that service, let somebody else do that service. But let Krishna have no discomforts. Prabhupada writes one definition of Krishna consciousness is to desire the best of everything for Krishna. So it is not just remembering Krishna, but desiring the best of everything for Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. The Gopis are desiring, and they're envisioning how the cloud is supplying this comfort for Krishna. So I said, the Gopis envision the clouds, this is the context, they form an umbrella to shade Krishna from the sun. Now what happens over here is, so Krishna's beauty, it inspires service. Generally, anybody who has some opulence, you know, somebody is very beautiful, somebody is very intelligent, somebody is very renounced. When we see somebody very attractive, our heart, oh, your beauty, your attractiveness is so uplifting. I want to do something for you. Krishna's beauty, personal beauty, and his flute songs beauty, both of them, what they do is they're so nourishable and nourishing and relishable that it makes the cloud feel Krishna is my friend, Sakyu, Vedat, I want to serve him. So this is the potency of Krishna's beauty. And now what happens? So this is a whole description. Let's see how it goes. Clouds, they form an umbrella to protect Krishna from the sun's heat. Now the natural element, and so this is the what is natural element is there, and what is the visualization over here? So the clouds, they form an umbrella to protect Krishna from the sun's heat. As I mentioned, the general form is like a light shower that relieves Krishna. And then the raindrops. But now what is happening is there's a transcendental competition between both of them. Let me just put this in another slide so that. Okay. So what happens is, as the cloud is flourishing, as the let's see if it comes out. Yeah. So what happens is, here the transcendental competition, that at one level the cloud feels that I want to serve Krishna, but then the sun feels, oh, the cloud is giving too much rains, and because of too much rain, now Krishna is feeling very wet. So then the sun heats, and the sun heats, and what happens is that the cloud melts because of that, and sun becomes warmer, and then Krishna feels a soothing warmth. Like say, in the noon sun is quite hot, but the morning sun is often very pleasant. Let's say people go for very few people go out for walks in noon, unless the weather is pleasant. Its morning sun is very good. So like that, the sun becomes very warm and soothing. And then as the cloud is observing, the cloud says, oh, now the warmth has become too much. So then the cloud again comes in the way, and again the cloud starts blanketing and showering little nectar. And then after that, again the sun feels, hey, it's become too wet now. So the sun also again heats. So in this way, there is this beautiful transcendental competition going on among the natural elements who all want to serve Krishna. So in this way, this is how the beauty of Vrindavan is being described here. Now a question may come up So is this real or is it just poetic imagination? So I use the word visualization. So is it when the gopis are visualizing it, is it actually the cloud thinking like that? Is it the sun is thinking like that? Or they're just going on in the natural course and the gopis are thinking like that? Well, it's real at one level because this is Vrindavan. Vrindavan is a spiritual world. It is where everything is arranged by Yogamaya. And Yogamaya arranges everything for making Krishna's pastimes more relishable. It is, we could say, ultimately it is for Krishna's pleasure, but sometimes there is some displeasure also for Krishna. Krishna wants to meet Radharani, but sometimes Radharani's family members don't allow them to come out. But that increases the excitement. So ultimately it makes it more relishable. It's ultimately for Krishna's pleasure. So that is, it is considered real in that sense. This is actually all the elements, even the natural elements in the spiritual world, they are conscious and they are all eager to serve Krishna. Now, having said that, actually whether it is real or not may not be the most important question to ask. Because ultimately, when we say what is real, what does it mean? Is it that, say, okay, this event physically happened over here like that. It happened like that over there. But events at the physical or the psychological levels, he thought like that, she did like that. Ultimately, it's in the temporary domain. So when we talk about real, we actually often equate it with that did it physically happen. But what happens at the physical level, it is temporary. It happens, it has some effect and it's over. So, and one definition of unreal, Prabhupada says, based on the Nasato Vidyato Bhava purport, that this is Gita BG 2.16. What Prabhupada says is, reality is that which is not destroyed by time. So anything that is destroyed by time, he says it's not considered real. It's there. It's like a dream. Is a dream real? Well, you can say in one sense, when it's going, we experience emotion. Sometimes we experience even physical manifestations. So you could consider a dream to be real. But another way of looking at it, it's not real because when it ends, nothing remains. So like that, in bhakti, it's not that we are too obsessed with physical events. Did this literally happen like this? The rasa is important. Now, this doesn't mean the actual events happening or not happening is not important. Let's try to understand this more carefully. So, we need to reconceptualize reality. That whatever attracts or directs us towards the eternal ultimate reality, that is worthy of being considered a reality. Not the so-called reality that takes us away from the ultimate reality. So, oh, there is a real person over here. But in seeing that person, if I'm forgetting Krishna, well, what value is that? So Prabhupada says in one lecture that you can imagine that there is a throne in your heart, and on that throne, Radha Krishna are seated. So a devotee imagines like that, and then Prabhupada says, actually, that's not imagination, that's reality. Now we may say, is there actually a throne in my heart? Are Radha Krishna seated on that throne? No, the point is, this is being imagination used in the service of the ultimate reality. And that will become a reality in the future. As we become purified, yes, we want Krishna to be on the throne of our heart, the divine couple to be in the throne of our heart. So a devotee, what is real for a devotee? That which takes us toward the ultimate reality. Let's try to understand this. The same way I put it here. Whatever attracts us, directs us toward the ultimate reality, that is really real. That is worth considering real. Or whatever is physically or psychologically real, but takes us away from Krishna, it's like foam or bubble in water. It's there one time, it is gone after some time. So now let's try to understand a reality from this perspective, reconceptualizing reality. Now we know when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was on his tour to Vrindavan. So what happened? He was so ecstatic, so eager to go to Vrindavan that every river he saw, he thought this river is Yamuna. Every mountain he saw, this mountain is Govardhan. Every forest he saw, that is Vrindavan, he said. Now, this is described as the ecstatic absorption of Lord Chaitanya, is considered the perfection of devotion. Sthavara jangam na dekhi tara murti, sarvatra hai nija ishtadeva spurti. Everywhere a devotee sees Krishna. So this is the ecstatic devotional vision. Now, if you apply this reasoning of factual, so now if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is seeing a particular mountain to be Vrindavan or Mount Govardhan, now we may say, no, geographically you are still in Bengal. Vrindavan is far away in Uttar Pradesh. So is the Lord making a mistake? Is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu making a mistake over there? He's not making a mistake. We have to, again, the point I mentioned earlier, the point of such descriptions is not factual precision. It is devotional absorption. How much he was absorbed, that whatever he saw, he remembered Vrindavan. Whatever he saw, he remembered Vrindavan. He was in such spiritual consciousness. So even if we want to say for argument's sake, it's a mistake, but the mistake reveals where his thoughts were. Prabhupada was in America and they were driving by a car, and Prabhupada said, hey, what is that, Chintamani? And the devotee saw it was Hotel Continental. Prabhupada saw Continental and he thought it's Chintamani. So even the mistake indicates what is Prabhupada thinking. Prabhupada's thoughts were in the spiritual world. And so the point is not factual precision. The point is devotional absorption. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was not mistaken at all. So in one sense, it was because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't say, oh, this is Govardhan, so let me stay here itself. He saw every forest, every mountain as Govardhan, but he didn't stay over there. He saw ordinary forest as Vrindavan, yet he actually kept moving toward the actual Vrindavan. So here the point is that we are not that a devotee sees Krishna everywhere, but that doesn't mean a devotee completely loses track of external reality. So we can use our visualization, our imagination, Krishna's service, but that doesn't mean we are disconnected from the reality. So I'll conclude with this point, that how to see things in Krishna consciousness. So if we see only from the factual vision, that can impede our devotional growth. Why? Because when say Prabhupada wanted to go to America, and at that time he wanted to go, but all the people told him, how will Americans become devotees? So they were discouraging him. Sumti Moraji's assistant didn't want him to go, and she told he will die over there. So she talked to Swamiji, you are so old and America is so cold. What will happen over there? So now, if we have only factual vision, we may not see Krishna anywhere. If you see this only factual vision, this is demonstrated by Duryodhana in the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, okay, these warriors are here, these warriors are here, and my warriors are much stronger than your warriors, their warriors. But he's missing Krishna. He's overlooking Krishna because he thinks Krishna is going to be a non-combatant. Krishna didn't fight, but still he did everything. He did everything. So if you have only factual vision, that's not very helpful. It can impede devotional growth. But if you have only devotional vision, then that can impede practical functioning. That means it's not that factual precision is not important. We want to have a devotional vision. So Prabhupada said that, for example, there are temples and they are filled with devotees. Only time is separating us from them. Although Prabhupada, out of his humility, said only time is separating, but it was not simply the passage of time that made those temples manifested. It was Prabhupada's tireless endeavors that made the temples manifest. So if one only has devotional vision, then the practical service, the practical functioning can get impeded. So as devotees, we have both a practical or factual vision and a devotional vision. And again, depending on what is appropriate. So we are sadhakas and we are sevaks. So whatever is anukul for our service, we take that. That means, in general, we try to do every service that is possible for us to do. But if we are not able to do the service, so if we can't go to a temple for a program, we can use our imagination. oh, if I was in temple, it would be so nice, and I would have darshan like this, I would meet with devotees, kirtan would be going on, and use our imagination in Krishna's service. So sometimes we are very afraid of the word imagination and imaginary, but actually imagination is also a faculty. And some people have very vivid imagination. Like some people, the people who are painters or artists, they need to have that vivid imagination. Only then they can actually depict things. So imagination is not the problem. It is, if imagination is used in Krishna's service, that's wonderful. But if imagination is used to fantasize things which take us away from Krishna's service, that is where is the problem. So here, at one level, the gopis are actually envisioning this transcendental competition between the clouds and the sun. But even if we say this is just poetic imagination, but in that poetic vision, imagination is giving us such a sweet devotional vision, which can give us devotional absorption. So from that perspective, we learn to have this balance of actual vision and devotional vision in a way that is anukul for our service. So I'll summarize over here. Let's go back to this verse and look at this verse. So what is happening over here? This now, actually in the verse, only the first stage of the competition is described. The full competition is not described. That is described by Anandavan Champu and Gopal Champu. So, Drishtva tape vrajapashun saharama gopai. So what is happening here is, seeing that Krishna is feeling very hot, as he's walking along with the gopas and the cows and playing his flute, the clouds feel overwhelmed with love for Krishna. And this Krishna is my friend, how can I serve him? So the cloud makes its own body into an umbrella. And not only shields Krishna from the heat, but also showers Krishna with gentle raindrops, which are like flowers being showered on him out of love. So Drishtva tape vrajapasun saharama gopai. Drishtva tape vrajapashun saharama gopai. Sancharayantam anuvenum udirayantam. Sancharayantam anuvenum udirayantam. Prema pravruddha udita kusumavalibi. Prema pravruddha udita kusumavalibi. Sakhyur vyadhat swavapushambudha atapatram. Sakhyur vyadhat swavapushambudha atapatram. So I'll summarize what I spoke today. I broadly spoke on the three visions when talking about Krishna entering into the forest of Vrindavan and playing a flute which captivates the gopis. So we talked about three visions. First is the starting, how Krishna Venuravam Sarvamanoharam. Krishna's flutes attracts everyone and especially attracts the gopis. So there I talked about the Rasa Theory, the Uddipan. It has two effects on Krishna. The Uddipan of Krishna's flute song has two effects. They start glorifying spontaneously and they start embracing Krishna mentally. And so we also can find our Uddipan which can nourish us in our spiritual life, and then we will flourish. So we need to relish and cherish the Uddipan that works for us, the thing that we feel good doing and we're also good at, so that we feel naturally attracted to. And then the second vision was of how the Krishna's beauty inverts the cosmic hierarchy, that even the celestial ladies are being attracted by Krishna's beauty. So normally the earthly beings are attracted by the celestial beauties, but that is inverted. And when it's this Vanita Utsava, it is a festival for the women. The point is not that it's a mundane attraction, it is that any way somebody is attracted to ultimate reality, that is auspicious. Yena kena prakarena. Of course, the healthiest way of attraction is we have both the right conception and the right emotion. But we can start from anywhere and progress in that direction. And the third vision was of how the clouds form an umbrella that also showers down soothing drops of water on Krishna to protect him from the rains. So there I discussed about how is imagination, is it real? It is now and it's real because everything is orchestrated for Krishna's, for making Krishna's pastimes more relishable. But even if we consider to poetic imagination, the point is imagination directed toward the ultimate reality is auspicious because it can increase our absorption in Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thinking of every forest of Vrindavan, It's not, the point there is not factual precision. It is to illustrate his devotional absorption. And he was not wrong because he still kept moving toward Vrindavan. So for us, we find the balance that we want. If it's only factual precision, then we may not have any devotional stimulation to do things. But it's only devotional vision, then we may not do anything practically at all. So we need the balance, and that way we can move ahead in our spiritual life, using our imagination, not to go into an imaginary world, but to go with our imagination toward the ultimate reality. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for a very, very wonderful lecture. That was a perfect combination of Tattva and Rasa. You covered both of them in this very short period of time, and difficult subject matter you explained very nicely. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have one question about the last verse that you talked about, where you're talking about this competition that was there between the cloud and the sun. And they were, in a way, they were trying to outdo each other, and that was providing service to Krishna. But how do we know, like when the devotees are trying to compete with each other, is that actually pleasing Krishna and providing service to Krishna?
Okay. Yeah, when devotees compete with each other, how do we know that we're actually pleasing Krishna? 2-3 different things are there. First is, you can say, generally, the Mahabharata says to understand the right and wrong aspects of any action, we can look at 3 things: the intent, the content, and the consequence. So what are we doing? That's the content. Intent, why are we doing it? And what is the result of what we are doing? So when, in one sense, competition is just a fact of life. We can't avoid competition. In the material world, we can't avoid competition because we live in a competitive society. But even in the spiritual domain, it is not that everybody is an individual and everybody wants to offer their best to Krishna. So competition itself is not a bad thing. We see that when the Gopas are in the forest and Krishna has gone ahead, so all the Gopas say, aham purvam, I will reach Krishna first. And they all run toward Krishna. So they compete to see who will reach Krishna first. So competition itself is not the problem. It is with what intent we do it. It is ultimately it's a matter of Krishna consciousness. And then just because the intent is there, that's not enough. We also have to consider the consequences. So broadly speaking, if our desire is to serve Krishna and to glorify Krishna and to spread his glories, then that intent is wonderful. So my spiritual master, Radhanath Maharaj, once mentioned that the devotees were doing book distribution, and they said that something like, at that time book distribution was going on, so the temple that had distributed maximum books or something in the marathon was, maybe I don't remember the exact number, something like 25,000 or 30,000 books they have distributed. So they said there's whatever the top book distribution score for the previous year done by some other temple. So the devotees in Radha Gopinath said that, Maharaj, we want your blessing so that we can exceed that. So Maharaj said that, that what if, say, presume it was 30,000 books, say we want to distribute 30 to 35,000 books. So Maharaj said that, I pray that you distribute 35,000 books and you come last. What it means that everybody else distributes more. So the point is that we want Krishna, if we keep the ultimate purpose in mind, that it is Krishna's glories that are to be spread. Like say in a pandemic. So if there's a pandemic and there's an emergency, then the doctors are treating the patients. So, it's not a competition. I treated 35 patients and you treated 40 patients. I want to treat more than you, so I won't let patients go to you only. No, the patients will die. The point is we want to help people. So if we keep the purpose in mind, that ultimately we want to share Krishna's glories, and by sharing Krishna's glories with others, by spreading Krishna's glories, we want to benefit people. Then the competition will not degenerate towards a destructive direction. So that's from the intent perspective. And from the consequence perspective, sometimes we may have the very good intention, but if other people are perceiving things in a different way, then we may have to say, okay, maybe this is not the way I should do things, or at least have some discussions. Because just intent alone doesn't always guarantee the good results. So Krishna sees the intent and that is good. We want to see that, but we also want results in this world to work out positively. So sometimes changing the way we function in some small ways, that can avoid any destructive competition. But in general, if we see that the purpose is to share Krishna's glories, then we can of course talk with senior devotees and see what they feel about what we are doing. And we may not give specific instruction from them, do this or don't do this. But the principle is that we can assess, we can try to introspect and look at what we are doing and what is the result of that. And we can consult senior devotees also from their perspective, how do they see our motivation, how do they see the results of our actions, and based on that we can learn. So just yesterday I had a podcast with Vaisheshika Prabhu. So I think right now the Bhadra Purnima is going on, and there's a Bhadra Purnima marathon where devotees are distributing books. So he said that one way we have found to avoid mutual competition becoming too much is to set a collective goal. That the collective goal is, we want to say this year want to distribute 25,000 Bhagavatam sets.
Yeah.
So even whether one person does more or other person does not, if we all together achieve the collective goal, that's important. So it's like we want to make sure that Krishna, if you want to give a sports metaphor, we want Krishna consciousness like a team sports. It's not an individual sport. So whether I hit the winning sixer or you hit the winning sixer, the point is our team should win.
Yes.
So sometimes we start thinking of Krishna consciousness as an individual sport. Then two players in the same team start competing with each other, and that becomes unhealthy. So if we see that it's a team sport, and ultimately, yes, I want to perform, but more important is that the team should win. So then that is a way we can have competition, but prevent it from becoming unhealthy.
Very wonderful answer, Prabhuji. Thank you. Very helpful. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much.
Devi Shakti Mataji has a question. Mataji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, about the devotional vision. So is it something that develops naturally, or do we have to actively cultivate devotional vision?
Does devotional vision develop automatically, or do we cultivate it?
Yeah,
I don't think that two have to be this or that. It is both. Say, for example, I had gone with one senior, when I was in America, I was traveling with one senior devotee, and we went to a farm. And when we were there, we were exploring what they were doing. And this devotee started speaking, here we could make a retreat center, and here we could have this, and we could have that, and we could do this. Now, I was just seeing a farm over there, and I realized that this devotee is having so much vision of. So when we talk about vision, it doesn't have to be vision about the spiritual world and what pastime Krishna is performing where, but it could just be vision of how something can be used in Krishna's service. So Prabhupada translates, I think, one of the, I don't remember exact words, but he says spiritual vision, Uttama Bhagavat's vision is to see the potential for serving Krishna in everything. So yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvam chami pashyati. So to see the potential for serving Krishna in everything. Now each of us, according to our nature, we will be able to see that potential in different things. So somebody who is, say, building temples or making projects, they say, okay, this place is so beautiful. Now for me, I am a writer. So it's like wherever I see any words, my first thought is, okay, where can I use these words in Krishna's service? So I'm not so much Krishna conscious as word conscious. So we could say Krishna word conscious, words about Krishna conscious. So in which direction that vision will come, that will vary from person to person. So now, do we cultivate it? Yes, to some extent we cultivate it. But is it that it will come naturally? I would say yes. According to our particular swabhava, in a certain direction it will come naturally. But after it comes naturally, we also need to develop it. So it's both nature and nurture, both are there in it. The important thing is that we want to absorb ourselves in Krishna more and more. And one way of absorption is we don't just see things as they are, but we also see things as they can be. So we see somebody coming to a program, But we see them, oh, if they come to Vrindavan, or they come to that program and they become ecstatic in chanting, and they become spiritually advanced. So that's the vision. So it's both nature and nurture. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Nitya Gopal Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, how can we understand that the visions or the imaginations are an ultimate reality? Like, how is there some things we can look out for? Like, for example, the imagination of a author that puts something, and like, say, for example, somebody that writes a book, for example, that is fiction, right? But that is also the vision or imagination. So how can we understand that this vision is fact but not fiction? Are there some points we can look out for in our devotional practice, or things that make us understand that, yes, this is not just some fiction but is fact?
Okay. So how do we know the particular vision is fact or not? Well, I wouldn't use the word fact. I would prefer to use the word reality. Does it align with reality? Now, the word fact actually comes from a Greco-Latin root fixere, which actually means to make. So that's a whole different philosophical subject. But the point is that in one sense, every replication of anything devotional is a recreation of the reality based on the individual. Say, for example, when we have dramas on Krishna Leela. Now, if we want to do a drama on a particular Leela, there is always some level of creativity used to make the dialogues, to set the scene, to make the costumes. Are all of them exactly the way they were in the spiritual world, or they were when Krishna descended to the world? Not necessarily. So in fact, drama itself means that there is a certain level of creative license. In fact, there is a Natak Chandrika, a book written by the Goswamis, which describes the rules for dramaturgy. When we are writing devotional drama, what are the rules to be used? What are the rules to not be used? So in my understanding is that as long as it is made clear that this is not literal, this is a creative retelling. It's a creative retelling. That is, so for example, actually every translation also involves that. So if I translate from something from Sanskrit or Bengali into English, even if an Acharya does that, now Acharyas have the potency by which they can impart the essential message, but still two Acharyas may translate differently. And why is that? Because every word can have different meanings, and depending on the way they are approaching, they can give different meanings. The word in Sanskrit itself can have a different meaning. The word, if it's being translated into English, in English, based on context, it can be different. So to some extent, as long as the tattva and the rasa are maintained. Tattva means not just the factual truth of that particular point, but the tattva in terms of the ultimate philosophical reality, the essential philosophical truths. That tattva is being maintained, and the rasa, the emotion, there's no rasabhas, there's no inappropriate emotion being inserted. Then that's fine. Just like in Ram Leela, Valmiki Ramayana is the original Ramayana. But along with that, there are many other regional retellings of the Ramayana that are there. And you say, we'll study only the Valmiki Ramayana. Well, that's fine. But even Prabhupada did not do that. Prabhupada quotes about, say, for example, Ravan wanting to construct a staircase to the heavens. Now, that's not mentioned in Valmiki Ramayana. That's not even in Ramcharitmanas. That is in Kritidas Ramayana, which is like a Bengali retelling of the Ramayana, which is very popular over there. So Prabhupada is quoting from that. So now the understanding is that the original Ramayana, Valmiki's Ramayana, is like a person singing. And then when a person is singing, they are singing, maybe they're playing an instrument also, but somebody else comes along and they bring another instrument. And they add their voice, but they also add their instrument. And then somebody else comes along, and somebody else comes along. And that solo performance becomes an orchestra. It becomes a concert. And the impact is much more beautiful. Impact is much, much deeper. Now, but if suddenly somebody comes along and starts singing a different song only, or starts playing the music completely out of sync, then it will be a problem. So similarly, what has happened is there have been, the bhakti has been nourished, not just by the Ram Bhakti, for example, not only by the Valmiki Ramayana, the many regional retellings of the Ramayana. Now, are all of them accepted? Not necessarily. But are all of them to be rejected? Certainly not. Bhakti has been nourished in the vernacular languages by the retellings of the Ramayana in those languages. The same with Krishna Bhakti also. There have been regional poetry, regional art, regional depictions. So many are there. So and I talked about they don't, this overall the concert means everybody is functioning together and the impact is becoming deeper. So if the rasa and the tattva are maintained, then using the visualization of Krishna's service is fine. So I would say at our stage, we have to be very cautious in using that. And you can always talk with senior devotees and get some feedback and then take it forward from there. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So thank you very much. Sri Krishna Bhagavan ki jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much, Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, for finding time for all of us. And it has been always good to hear from you, Prabhuji. And we are missing your association here. We are really, really eagerly waiting for you. As soon as the situation improves, we want to have your personal association here in Wellington. So I'm praying for that. So for showing appreciation for Prabhuji's time and this wonderful transcendental knowledge that he has shared, let's chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra all together.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji ki
Jai.